Well, Stephanie Kleine-Ahlbrandt is the China advisor and Northeast Asia project director with the International Crisis Group. She's been monitoring China's relations with countries around the world and joins us live from Beijing. Stephanie, thank you for joining us. Now, there's a lot of international concern over this deal, but is it a case of nuclear doublespeak? How is this different from the US-India deal? If it's okay for the US, then why not China?
Well, you know, there are three important differences, really. The U.S. did go to the nuclear supplier group to get an official exemption for its deal, which is something that the Chinese are not doing. They are relying on a grandfather clause whereby they're trying to argue that this deal falls under the same clause as earlier deals, which were explicitly excluded when they joined the NSG. Another important difference is the nuclear proliferation records of both India and Pakistan. Pakistan has had a record of proliferation and has yet to account, for example, for the AQ Khan network. And finally, in Pakistan, we have a very worrying and degenerating security situation with terrorist groups that would like to get access to these nuclear weapons. And for those reasons, it's a different situation.
Right, China has not clearly spelt out its intentions with regards to this deal. What are its options, and how do you think China is going to play this?
Well, you know, there's a lot of talk now about the US-India deal as being sort of the basis for China now going forward with a similar deal with Pakistan as a sort of a strategic tit for tat. It needs to be pointed out that the US was heavily criticized for the India civilian nuclear deal because they provided nuclear technology to a non-NPT state. And China is now using this really as an argument that it can also go forward. At the same time, China is doing it in a way that does not follow international procedures set out under the NPT. And I think it's made a decision that probably not going to the NSG is more likely to allow them to go forward with this deal than putting it in front of the NSG, in which case they might, there might be a decision against granting China the exception that they would need to be able to officially go forward with the deal.
What sort of leverage exactly does the NSG have over China?
The NSC is actually, their rules are non-binding, yet China joined the NSC in 2004 and is obligated to respect its procedures and guidelines. And China did respect these procedures and guidelines by getting exemptions for its first two deals with Pakistan, the Chashma 1 and the Chashma 2. And it's trying now to argue that the deals coming through now are part of the same exemption, and they really aren't. So we've seen China agreeing to go forward and now having a different view with regard to whether they should go to the NSG or not. At the end of the day, China itself puts itself forward as a proponent of the nuclear non-proliferation regime, and in the context of Iran sanctions, for example, said that it was unswervingly dedicated to nuclear non-proliferation. So one would think that in this case, China would be in a position to go forward and ask for certain guarantees from Pakistan with regard to nuclear non-proliferation instead of just going ahead with a deal without such guarantees and without going to the NSG.
We're going to have to leave it there. Stephanie Kleine-Ahlbrandt with the International Crisis Group, thank you for speaking to us.